2021. Yes, it really is 2021. I'm just going to waffle just for a moment, just whilst my show is starting. I just want to make sure everything is all good. All very, very good. Very, very, very good. What's going wrong? What's going wrong? Wow, wow, wow. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so tonight's show is going to be a little bit seat of the pants, as per usual. I'll explain why all of that is in a moment. I'm just literally just checking that all things are working, because there has been some streaming issues of late, and I just need to see that I am in fact live. Some evidence. Let me see. And then... Okay, yeah, it looks like all things are good. All things are well. And yeah, just getting my thing together. So tonight's show I will talk about in a moment. One thing I definitely want to talk about a little bit tonight, though, is music taste and the concept of music taste. I've touched on this before, but it's definitely a really interesting topic. And the first thing I'm going to say about music taste is your music taste is your own music, is your own thing. You own your music taste. That's the thing that is yours, unconditional for all of your life, you know. Other people might argue with you and tell you that your music taste is terrible, and filtered through my music taste, it may well indeed be terrible, but to you, it's your taste and it's your right. And then... that is the reason why I mention that. It sounds a bit silly, but is I love the fact that people do have like different music taste. I mean, makes the world a lot more interesting, that's for sure. But I was just kind of curious about the taste bit itself and what makes something kind of tasteful. All right, great. Getting some hellos now in the chat room. That's brilliant. That makes me feel happy. Excuse the loud jumper. It's a bit chilly here in Bristol. It's actually really, really cold tonight. But it gets quite warm in here because of all of the gear. Now, I did mention on Sonic Talk earlier, some of you might have seen, but I was talking about over there. There is the Waldorf KB37, which is a controller synthesizer, but, you know, specifically for modular. That is the thing I've been teasing on my show, say my Adventures in Eurorack show, which goes out on a Monday night at late 10:30. I think I've been doing it UK time. Probably will keep to that sort of time. I will probably make an announcement or a tweet or something. Please follow me on Twitter if you would be so kind. If you are a tweety type, just I don't know. It's quite an interesting place. Twitter, you know, is some areas of Twitter are still quite nice. Yeah, but anyway, that was the thing I've been waiting for a while, and that really opens things up for me regarding my adventures in Eurorack. So that show I'm glad to say will be back next Monday, and wow, I'm quite glad that you can't quite tell what is in the rack there, because I've put it together and it's blown my mind. Anyway, that's teasing you for Monday, and we've got tonight's show to wade through. And yes, it will be a little bit... Look, we're back here again. This is what we were looking at last week. But I had numerous people ask me about, say that they wanted to see more of that. And you know what they say, be careful what you wish for. But in part, that's also because I just kind of... I've been so invested in that and something else that I can't actually talk about, that tonight's show I'm going to have to just make it up as I go along, because normally it's very scripted and very well prepared, as you all know. But why do I want to come back to this thing again? Because the reason why is because a certain Mr. Ty Unwin, a dear friend of mine, I'm sure many of you will know who he is, he just got one and he was blaming me for it. So I felt quite good about that, actually. But yeah, there's a little story about this. Now, I probably have talked about this before, so I apologise for repeating myself. But Roland sent me one before it was originally released. Sort of just... version 1, and it was very much marketed as a beatboxer looper. Really was. It really was. But I was like, hang on a minute, this could be like an absolutely perfect desktop synth and whatnot, the kind of stuff that I know I like and lots of you like. Or for grabbing modular, looping modular stuff or whatever. And it was hampered somewhat in that initial release. But then when the version 2 upgrade for it came out, which admittedly that was a few years ago and it's not had an update since, it changed it, I think. It changed it into a far better unit. One of the reasons was that the MIDI was pretty dumbed down before because they didn't want it to affect the sale of their pedal loopers, which is just, in my opinion, kind of daft. It's sort of cutting your nose off to spite your face, I think, really. However, they saw the light and they made the version 2 then sort of fully functional, including a bunch of other things. I have gone into that in detail on other videos, so I won't bore you with that. And the other thing that I was talking about last week as well is that I have expanded the internal memory on this. There's an SD card inside, a little micro SD card, but word of warning, I think more recent ones have gunked that in with some like weirdy glue. There is a video, somebody watched a video that I made about the 505 and I talked about the little SD card, and they made a little video showing it, and actually they managed to clean off all the kind of glue and thus made it expandable for themselves. And it's a curious move of Roland to do that, really. It's just it's crazy. So my plan, and this is something hopefully in the future I'll be able to show you, is I'm going to find a little bit of space on the back here, which is a bit hard because there's a lot of connectivity on this thing. But I'm going to make a little, I'm going to cut out, use a little Dremel thing, a little hole in the casing here, and then fit an micro SD extension to the back here. So yes, are we there? Oh, the microphone. Right. Note to self. Yeah. Okay, what happened then? Hello. All right. What a fool. What happened then was I've actually got my microphone plugged into this thing, and as I turned it around, it pulled out the power, and there we saw something that is the sort of thing that really one should never see, and that's the 505 boot up procedure, because it takes ages. So if you are using one of these live, there was a little lesson there for us all, isn't there? That and it doesn't run on batteries. So if you are using a 505 live, make sure that the jack socket is firmly secured, or you'll have little things like that happen to you. And I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. But it does. It takes a fair old while to boot up, and I can imagine if you're on stage, or if you happen to be doing a live stream and a bunch of people who are watching. Yeah. Okay, so right. Where am I? Right. So why I've done this again is because this thing is it's possibly my favourite piece of music tech gear that I've ever had, I think. Maybe. I mean, that's a big old claim, and yeah, you should have a look around this room. There's a lot of competition. However, I think there's something so immediate about this that kind of suits me, really, and it is pretty much full. If I go through all the memories on here, I have to be careful actually because it stores the effect. Yes, because I've got my microphone going through here, it does mean that any effect, like that little phaser and the panning. Oh, that sounds mono to me. Guys, that's streaming in mono now. Oh dear. Why are we in mono? Doesn't matter. That should be panning. And reverb. Now, these are the built-in effects. And they're okay. They're not bad. They're not the best. You can hear from this reverb if we go all the way. And you have a few parameters. Like reverb time, effects level. Oh, oh yeah. Just reverb time and dry level. Max is out 10 seconds. I'm doing the chip pan test there because I mean, the mark of a really horrible reverb is the more it's in the decay tail, it sounds like you're frying chips. And the less it sounds like you're frying chips, then the better quality, smoother the reverb is. So not a particularly nice or particularly versatile reverb, but I'm glad it's there. I am glad it's there because, as I've often demonstrated on my shows, reverb can get you out of all sorts of kind of problems. But this is a quirky unit, and it is, there are a few small issues with it, but by and large, I think it's one of the most perfectly executed with that version 2 software, most perfectly executed product in many, many ways. And I've had this one for quite a while. This is my second one actually, but yeah, the first one went back, and then I decided to get another one about a year or so later because nothing else quite came out. Now, I'm a big fan of the Porter Studio. I've talked about it quite a lot in the past on various shows, having had various 4-tracks when I was younger, starting with an Amstrad Studio 100. I think I have talked about that before. I reckon that probably deserves its own video. It probably is, but the Amstrad Studio 100 is one of the most hilarious products ever released. It was in the days of the big hi-fis, and sometimes they'd call them MIDI hi-fi, wouldn't they? But sort of looking like people used to have all the separates, and then they started making single boxes that almost looked like they were all stacked up together in a separate thing. Well, the Studio 100 was like a home hi-fi. It had an LP record deck on the top, and it had twin cassettes, and then it had all these faders and knobs on the front. I mean, lots of them too, and it also, oh my god, that had a reverb of a sort built in, which has got to be the funniest reverb ever made. Oh, Nanomancer in the chat room says that you had a Studio 100 and loved it. Oh, that is cool to hear. They came with a bunch of microphones with different coloured sort of foam heads on there. Kind of would have been really good for making podcasts with. I mean, the sound quality was pretty terrible, but the idea was actually kind of pretty cool because you could do a real-time mix down, and then from the 4-track cassette, you could bounce it down to the built-in 2-track cassette. So it was a really full thing. And you could like pull I seem to remember doing it. I was recording the record onto slowing down a record onto 4-track, onto one of the tracks and reversing the record. And I'm trying to remember now. Oh, that's right. Yeah. I'd record records on the 4-track, then turn the tape over. So then all the records would play back in reverse. And it was like a bit of pitch control. And messing around with it and just, because if you try to do anything serious on it, it was very murky sounding. So it had a really, dark, gloomy sound, everything that you did on it. But you know, I was in there then. I was off, and that was it. Really, I've been an obsessive ever since that. I had my my BBC microcomputer with my System 500, and then thus expanded to System 5000, which is a sequencer. I've talked about this quite a bit before. And a bass guitar and an acoustic guitar, and I think that was pretty much it. That was my starting point there, and I've been ridiculously hooked, as you can tell, ever since. Which is why I'm here now, because I have got nothing else I can talk about. There is nothing else in my brain now. Everything else has been moved out. Has been pushed out or pushed to the furthest corners and just filled up with music technology. So, you know, I'm afraid for you guys, it's you know, I've got to just virtually spoon it all out of my brain a little bit somehow. So this is why I do this. Anyway, right, I don't actually have much of a clue what I was... Oh, yes, I was talking about music taste, and I do want to talk more about music taste before going any further, though, just because I was talking about it. Your music taste is your own thing. It's yours. Your music taste is a unique reflection of your innermost thoughts and your outer experiences. It all kind of... Everything in life comes in the music you hear when you're a child, on what the music that your parents play, or what's on the radio, or theme tunes to TV shows, and you know, and then people who you liked in school, and then people who you didn't like in school. Could, you know, certain bands, there's no way you'd even consider listening to them because him over there likes it and he's a twat. So you won't go anywhere near that. It'll taint that music, and then so all these things, they all sort of shape your taste, and it's such a unique reflection of who you are. Your music taste is, and so when Last FM came out, I think a long time ago, early 2000s maybe, and the whole kind of scrobbling thing. Now that's a word like I should have made up really, but the whole idea of you going, yep, I like this music, and I like this. And then the Last FM algorithm. I mean, this is all built into the music services now. But when it was new on Last FM, it was a revolutionary thing. It goes, I like this, 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 and this. And then they find a match of someone who likes four of them. And there's one thing that you haven't. So it's like, oh, okay. You're likely to like that. If that person likes that. And to some degree, that works. And I think it is a brilliant, amazing system. But also, it doesn't also take into account the really weirder parts of your music taste, that you might like those things, but that doesn't relate to those whatsoever. And therein, I think that's what makes it a great system, actually, because it does mean that you get exposed to different kinds of music. And that is a huge, huge thing, being exposed to music, and being exposed to music with the right attitude to the way that you're listening to it. And a story that I like to tell about that was I found a certain kind of jazz, more free jazz or bebop, hard bop, that kind of region. Not so much bebop, actually, a bit later, but actually, yeah, maybe bebop. But certainly kind of John Coltrane, for instance, was someone who I was thinking, it's just too many notes. It's just too much saxophone. I can't deal with it. But then I think I just stumbled on it this way. But I'd learned to play a few notes on the saxophone. But I was listening to something by John Coltrane, and I was trying to imagine I was playing it. So as I was hearing the music, I was trying to imagine that all the note choices that John was making were kind of coming through me, that I was playing it myself. And something really profound happened to me by doing this. Was I started just getting off on this soloing. You know, I think I was like, oh yeah, I'm finding some really juicy notes to go to here, and just literally just using my imagination as I was listening to the music, and but it gave me the gateway to the music. I absolutely adore John Coltrane now. I mean, I think he's of just another intellect, of another, I don't know, another alien mentality. There's something unbelievable with John Coltrane. But I think for me, because before, I think I'd listened to it a little bit like I was being bombarded by someone playing loads of notes at me. So as a listener, I was like, oh, I'll give it a break, man, you know, let the bass player have a solo. He does get a solo now and again. But once I put myself in the driver's seat almost, and because I was imagining that I was playing it, and then those notes, I ceased to be the person being bombarded by notes, but rather all the notes seeming to emanate from, I get a bit cosmic now, like almost like I'm in the center of the universe, and then all the notes are all emanating from this center, and just oh, it's a little bit weird explaining that. But the crucial part is I kind of cracked the code, even though I didn't particularly know I was doing that at the time, that allowed me to start loving it. And then I became quite obsessed, as I typically do with things, and just started listening to copious amounts of John Coltrane, and then I'd hear other soloists who would be brilliant, but then I'd hear John Coltrane and it would just go to this next level. I mean, Miles Davis, of course, is a completely amazing, just transcendental kind of musician too. But my takeaway anyway from this John Coltrane thing, or certainly this jazz thing, is it expanded my music taste. And as soon as my music taste got expanded, I became a richer person for it, you know, a richer person, absolutely. And then it's sort of like, oh, and then I'm more open to all sorts of other music that enables me to kind of access, which is great. And that became a bit of a lesson to me then. And some music styles, which I've initially really kind of not liked or backed away from, I sort of think back and go, if this music is being recommended to you via reliable sources, you know, that it's not just commercial junk, it is something that is valuable to people, but I'm not actually finding any value in it at all, then I'm thinking, well, I'm probably missing out. You know, I can tell pretty quick if it's more mainstream, and ultimately it's not going to sort of float my boat. But then it's that I like hearing something that I find almost appalling or just really struggle, and then I love it. And I'm sure everyone can relate to that, where you listen to an album and you don't hear it for a few listens. You hear the notes and you hear the songs and you hear the words, but at some point along that listening, you then start to hear the music, and it just reveals itself to you. You know, you've done the hard work and done those initial listens just to sort of just to kind of pave the way, so to speak, and then you hear it, and I'm like, wow, how couldn't I hear this? How couldn't I hear this music before? You know, when I first heard it, I really struggled to hear it, and now I really can hear it, and it's, you know, it's a universe of sound. It's amazing. So I find that process kind of like fascinating. I mean, I'm sure there's been some sort of studies into it. I'm just going to check in with the chat room, because I've been jazz rock is oh yeah, no, my top doesn't it doesn't say anal, but it kind of does, doesn't it? It says animal. Oh, it really does, doesn't it? That is funny. Popol Vuh, Dara is saying, I love Popol Vuh. Amazing. German band, and one that has made, I think it was the first Popol Vuh album, had quite a lot of early synthesizers on, but, I'm going to forget his name now, but the leader of Popol Vuh is Florian. Oh, it will come to me. He decided, no more synthesizers, but tried to then make ostensibly synthesizer albums, but only using acoustic instruments, but making the synthesizer albums of the time, like those kind of early Tangerine Dream albums, or sidelong meditations almost, and so those Popol Vuh albums are very much influenced by those synth albums of the day, but done with the kind of acoustic instruments. Really interesting. That whole German scene that's the gift that keeps on giving, and I'm sure many of you will be very aware of like the Kosmisch movement there, or krautrock as we sort of know it as, maybe slightly derogatory, but the wonderful band of that era, Faust, they claimed the name krautrock, and there's a wicked tune on their Faust 4th album called Krautrock, which I kind of like that. They go, no, we'll take it. I do use the term krautrock, so I don't know how wrong that is. but there's that period from, I think, the krautrock. So I said it again. But that classic period for me is, I would say, from about 71 through to about 76. There is an astonishing body of work that came from Germany in that time. And in part, there was a sort of movement which was to try to reclaim a kind of European tradition. Everything had kind of gone a bit blues rock and a bit overtly American. And so some of those bands, they were kind of trying to avoid falling into kind of, they could kind of almost see kind of cliches before the rest of us could, in a way. Although a lot of German music that came after that period is just, it seems like, oh, no, we were wrong. The cliches are where it's at, and just embrace the cliches. But I think that period, though, I mean, I'm really, really interested, and please help me out here. I'll be, there's loads of cool things going in the chat room. Klaus Schultz, yeah. Oh, Ilfricht, is that how you say that? That's an amazing album. Can't beat 70s Tangerine Dream. Yeah, I mean, Tangerine Dream are a funny one, aren't they? Because you listen to like an album, like a personal favourite of mine is Zeit, or Phaedra, that kind of era of Tangerine Dream. What's that, about 73, I think, maybe. 74, perhaps. And those albums, they're kind of dark and they're mysterious, and yeah, I've listened to those albums for a very long time, and I find that it takes me to a very futuristic place that still is kind of futuristic now. But Tangerine Dream, of course, they sort of, in their long and very distinguished career, went through lots of different phases. And in fact, my first introduction to Tangerine Dream, I wasn't keen. It was very much their kind of bright, shiny 80s stuff. I probably quite like it now. I haven't really delved into that era too much. Probably their sort of mid-80s kind of stuff. Similar thing happened with Jean-Michel Jarre a little bit later as well, where, he's embracing certain sounds, but you put it together and it sounds somehow a bit more cheesy now, listening back, than the 70s stuff. Again, all of this is entirely, it's kind of crazy. I talked about music taste. So when I'm talking about something sounds cheesy, that's going through that filter of mine for me to say that that's cheesy. So in order for me to return with a cheesy verdict, it's going ding, ding, ding. And it's sort of like a pinball bouncing around my head and going, yeah, that reminds me of that. That's a bit like going into like Top Man in the 1980s or some cheesy advert. Bam, 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 bam. But for some other people, anything that's got like a 1980s sort of tonality to it can sound exotic. And, for younger people, the 1980s is very much like the way the 1960s, which is before my time, the 1960s has always held a magical allure to me, and stuff recorded in the 1960s. There's a lot of special sauce poured into that stuff. But yeah, so just that thing about taste really, and just to sort of almost your brain, like to exercise, to stretch your brain and to somehow open it up and expand it and make your ability to enjoy music broader. What I like to do, it sounds like a really cheesy, there's the word again, but thing to do. But if, say, I've ordered a Indian takeaway, curry, like a nice Indian, put Ravi Shankar on, say, hey, bleep, bleep, play some Ravi Shankar. Or if it's like Greek, or having Greek food or whatever, and then listen to folk music that relates to the food that you're eating. I don't know what happens, but man, the food tastes better. As soon as you put the right music onto it, it's like, oh, it's like the sort of the chili beans are going, hey, this is, and I'll show you a move or two now. And then, it all starts to kick off in the mouth, the sort of the party's going off, and it's like, yeah, woo, there we go. There's another tip for you. Espen Kraft is the man for the 80s. He's incredible, isn't he? He and Jan's what's Jan's channel called? He does some incredible 80s. Oh, amazing attention to detail. Oh, what's this? He did the retro sound stuff. It'll come to me in a moment. Magma versus Gong. Nah. Too different. Can't compare. Yeah. There's a certain thing like Magma and Gong both emanate from, which I absolutely adore, and there's other bands as well. King Crimson, I think, would fit into that, and Radiohead is a more modern example, and I'm constantly looking for bands like that have got they can't escape their own artistry. Like Magma, for instance, is, I describe Magma as the concept band. As they do, you've heard of a concept album, or Magma as a concept band, where they've taken this premise that was from some crazy LSD trip in 1969 that the drummer had, of like the Earth kind of dying from environmental disaster and settle on a new planet. And Magma is the music of that planet, and Zool is the kind of religion that grows in this new planet, and all this kind of stuff. It goes across not just a couple of albums, but like their entire career. And they sing in Kobayan, this language, this made-up language of this new civilization, sort of, and that kind of stuff really was just a sort of a license in a way to kind of create your own world of music. I think when you listen to Magma, they sound like no one else. That is a really unique band. But because they've kind of created their own scenario, their own language, all this kind of stuff, they've also kind of created their own musical language. It's very difficult to categorize. I mean, you'd kind of say it's proggy, but that's just I mean, that's a bit of a catch-all. What does that actually mean? Well, I mean, for me, progressive is always moving, or just moving away. It's moving away from predictability and from kind of mainstream choices. That's how I would define that. But so in that respect, Magma are incredibly progressive. But one of the things, actually, talking about that, like saying progressive, when you look at the early 70s, the progressive bands, which were almost entirely British, but with some notable exceptions, those bands are so unbelievably different from each other. For them to be lumped in as a genre of music, if you listen to sort of Jethro Tull compared to Emerson, Lake and Palmer, compared to Yes, compared to Genesis, compared to Van de Graaff Generator, compared to Pink Floyd, you know, those bands, like, boom, they are unique. Gentle Giant, of course, they are really unique from each other. And when you get into those bands like I have, you get to recognize certain musicians' style, and I just love that. And that kind of stuff just got kicked out in the 1980s, you know. Florid musicianship that had some distinct colour, texture and flavour just got... There wasn't any room for it, you know. Like the great bass players of the 1970s, come the 1980s, a lot of bass lines were, well, they were too loose against the rigidity of the kind of programmed stuff that was going on. You know, the bass had to be just like part of that programmed stuff. And I remember doing like some sessions on my very first attempts at sessions in the late 80s, trying to play along to some stuff that was all sequenced, and it just sounded terrible. It just sounded like it was old hat. It just didn't fit. You know, it was it's been like that for a long time. When the dance music revolution kicked off in Britain big time, which was at the tail end of the 1980s, my experience of that growing up in a little village in North Wales, you know, I mean, I think the warehouse parties of 1988, that hadn't reached up to North Wales at that point, but by about 1990 to 1991, around that time, things had started to kind of really take hold, and dance music was just ruling the roost, you know. And for myself, who had interests in music technology, I was kind of caught between two things in a way, because I really loved to play, but it didn't really work with the dance music stuff. But it was such a creative time. 1993 was the golden year, as far as I'm concerned, for that movement. That was, and for a lot of us back then, it felt like that was the real arrival point of the whole kind of scene. Like our Summer of Love from my generation was 1993. That was the year. Just, it all exploded. It really was incredible. I mean, you know, these kind of things are, again, I think a lot of people will relate to that 1993 thing, because you see what happened in 1994 was that the Criminal Justice Bill in the UK was brought in, which was a pernicious and nasty law that was deliberately aimed to try and stop raves and the like happening. I apologise if I'm repeating myself. I've talked about this before, but I think it was it was a very important moment in time, because what happened was the Criminal Justice Bill, they said if there's 10 or more people gathered together with repetitive beats, then it gave them extra powers. They could come in without a warrant, and they could just confiscate the equipment. So they didn't, you know, they could just shut down any party going on. And they also knew if they went at the people who got the gear and they get the gear, then, you know, that's going to kind of end things pretty quickly. And sadly for me, that really affected me because I had a small PA system and I was using it on some parties around that time. And then it was just like, oh man, I need it for my band, and I just can't risk having my gear impounded. So, you know, it really affected that whole movement, I think. And that's the sad thing. It was designed to do that. It was designed to kind of reassert some control. You know, raving was seen as way too dangerous. Yes, I apologise to the chat room. There's been a load of cool conversation going on, and I will catch up with it later. I can see mention. Oh, Dan Moore, Yellow Magic Orchestra. Been listening to him quite a bit lately. Wonderful, wonderful Japanese band. Yeah, wow, what a great band. Yeah, and in fact, I've been learning and just listening and exploring that band, and it's really rewarding. And there is something quite uniquely Japanese about it in a fantastic way. And I was talking about German music and krautrock, if you want to call it that. That Kosmisch I kind of prefer. But there's a wonderful Julian Cope book called The Krautrock Sampler. And it's a really great personally written. Julian Cope's a brilliant writer, but just little guide really to that scene, and it is a really brilliant book. And his follow-up book to that is called The Jap Rock Sampler, and that is also awesome. And that introduced me to some crazy music, and there's a load. I mean, that's the thing. Japan's got a really rich heritage of underground alternative music that, there's some astonishing stuff in there too. Anyway, I probably should do some music really. I was going to, although I'm enjoying, I might rename this show and just sort of keep it a little bit more about talking about concepts of music taste though, because, you know, if you can successfully expand your music taste to allow in something that was otherwise shut out before, then, as I say, I think you become a richer person. And wealth shouldn't be measured in money, but should be measured in sort of experience and in being able to, you know, experience things. I think that makes you a more wealthy person, and friendships and good deeds. That's what makes you wealthy. I think wealthy in the with the good stuff, you know. I'm gonna have a little bit of beer if you don't mind, courtesy of the French today. Only a Kronenbourg, which is probably the worst stuff that they brew to send over to the Brits. No, it's nice, but. Max says, I'd love to live in Japan. Yeah. Japan is a country, a beguiling, beautiful country. The people are just incredible. I really, I'm very enamored with Japanese culture, and I've been fortunate enough to play a number of times over there and have had, experiences second to none. Come on, pandemic. Just come on. No, keeping positive, and in a way, this is kind of why I was going to talk a little bit about this tonight, because obviously we're all stuck in and we're all getting a bit agitated and bored, and well, I know I am, but I went for a walk earlier today, and there's a simple act of having a walk is a really nourishing thing, just to reconnect just in a most basic simple way with nature. And but also, as I say, just finding ways of getting inspired by listening. And I've been, like I was talking about Last FM, I've been listening to lots of stuff lately, very random selections of stuff. And occasionally a tune will come on, and I'll dissect it. I tried not to dissect things from like a producer point of view, but I will. I'll just kind of just go, yeah. So that kind of loop there, or blah blah blah. Just think a little bit about the technical stuff, and then I start thinking about the bits of gear in my studio that could do that. And it's like, oh yeah, I gotta get up now, and I want to try that idea out. And I love it when that happens. But the reason why I'm mentioning this is that you do have to go out looking for it as well. And it is easy just to shut up shop and sort of not be so conducive to things. Right. Anyway, what was I going to do? Let's have a look here. Oh, let's move that beer out of the way. Okay, so in here, it's full of junk, really. It's full of... There's nothing serious in here. It's all just kind of jams. So I just picked one at random. I just have a little peep at what's lurking in here. Some of them... No, I'm just going to go somewhere else. I have no idea what's in these at all. So sometimes I'll name them, but more often than not, I'll just do something, and I'll just go off looking for other ones. And quite often, I find I'll have done a whole jam into one loop, and then I'll have done a totally unconnected jam into another one, and maybe something else. So whether these things actually work together or not is a mystery. But you can do certain things, like it will time stretch all your loops. It's not the nicest, as you can imagine, but what does it go down to? It goes down to 40. But things take on weird qualities down here as well. And then just to add to the nastiness, if I use the transpose control as well. And I go, so this is like going down into the murky lands. Exploring like the worst parts of it, and then having a bit of fun with it. This is a bleak piece. Faders are really fun because you can just so just be, they're super fast, like got crossfader action a little bit, but yeah, I mean I really like I really like just sort of going back to what I've typically done actually is, if I look through these, and I'm repeating myself a little bit what I said last week, but you can see if there's a red ring, that's indicating that on memory 56 that all 5 loops are occupied. And then I can look through here for once. Now that one, there's an empty loop there. Oh, there's actually 2 empty loops there. So what I typically do is I just go through it, and then, so I've got 2 loops, so I can add 2 things. So, but remember, you can multi-track on any of the loops on top of them. I'm a bit nervous, like seeing what's under here. Not much. It's bass jam. But why this still kind of rules over most loopers that I've seen is that each loop can be set up entirely differently from the other ones. So, you know, you can have them running at different lengths and all sorts of different ways, and I think that makes it really good. But I remembered what I want to do tonight. This isn't much cop, so I'll wipe this, long press on that, and it's kind of wiped. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do something that I've never really explored particularly on this before, and I thought it would be quite a good fun thing to do. Is what you can make these tracks play. It says play mode. I probably can't quite see that, but it says multi, but you can make it play mode single. So if I just whip through all of these, making all of these single, then it means that only one can ever play at a time. So if I record into one and then hit and then make a loop, then if I hit another one, as soon as that's completed its loop, it'll move on to the next one. And then so you can essentially make a 5-part song. You know, the caveat being that you're layering onto a single loop. So I think I'll grab a bass guitar. I think that's something that is easy way to demonstrate this. Because I think that the arrange, you know, like the songy part of the great thing with loops is building these, you know, great soundscapes, but they do often just kind of get stuck in a rut. Let's just get plugged in. I'm going to be a good boy, and I'm going to tune up. There's another flaw in my plan there. I'm messing around with a new idea here. The video streamer that I am using, there's a stereo input into it. So whatever I'll either take a submix from the SSL behind me in, or various other things. But I've now got my Eventide H9 in the path, just so. I'm calling it my get out of jail card. So whatever I've got plugged going in, if things are kind of getting a little bit, if things are getting a little bit crap, you can just switch in a bit of Eventide loveliness and, like the black hole or something like that. And it'll just swallow everything up and just turn it into something that sounds amazing. So actually, it works really well where it is, in part as well, because I can do cool things with my voice on here as well. Just make sure that's all working. Oh, working? Working. I think that's working. Working. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, harmonize is always good for jam. Yeah, it is. It really inspires me. I get yeah, let's do that. Let's just do a little jam first. Let's get some level. Bass tonight, courtesy of Ernie Ball, Music Man, Stingray. This is a Stingray special. And it's a pretty awesome bass, actually. It is pretty cool. It's the 2 pickup model. I thought I'd ordered a single. I wanted a classic Stingray, but when it came and it had this extra pickup, I was like, oh no, I wanted it with less things on there. Which is the back selector there. So for that, which is a kind of classic punchy. I might get busted actually for. You know, that is played on a Stingray, as is funnily enough as well. There's a real poke to it. Just get myself a little. Anyway, with this particular bass, though, once I started exploring what these other pickups sounded like, it was like, oh, it sounds good. One of the reasons why a lot of people don't want a second one is if they're like a slap bass player, that this pickup inhibits the pop part a little bit, you know. But you can still get around it a little bit. Let's just twist this down a touch. Warm up a little bit. Yeah, my favourite setting on this is the second, which is that coil and that coil, and that's not a Stingray sound at all. Sort of getting into P bass land a bit, really. Oh, that's probably a bit more P. Precision bass I'm talking about. It gets more kind of pokey at the back. And what made the Stingray kind of a special instrument was the positioning of this pickup is a little bit more forward. Like if it was a jazz bass, the pickup would be about where my finger is, and by moving that pickup over here, you can, well, I'll try and demonstrate this, but yeah. So if you So they typically position the pickups underneath those harmonic spots, underneath octave points. It's a bit difficult to demonstrate, but it kind of sits under where a fifth would be rather than the root. Just in the, if you were to work out like harmonics, and I think that is the character. That's what gives it a very particular character. Anyway, let's get on. Okay, so I've got rhythms in here like I was messing a bit with last week. And you can have just a metronome or there's some cheesy beats in there, but the cheesy beats are kind of useful. It's kind of cool. The metronome, you see, can be set in two ways. It can be set here without a downbeat marker, or you can have it. Oh. But then you see, when you take something like, say, that conga pattern, that's actually quite useful, that conga pattern, as an example. You can kind of feel the space a little bit more. A metronome can sometimes just be quite dictatorial, going doof, doof, doof. The best advice anyone's given to me about metronome is, they said, don't see it as like going dish, dish, dish. Imagine it more like a clock going dish, 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 dock, 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 then dock, 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 dock. Just by hearing it more like a clock, you can kind of feel the spaces in between a little bit more. You know, dot, 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 dot. You know, as but it's just a little thing, but I find that quite helpful. But certainly, it's the space around the straight click is where the most interesting music lies. So when you have when you play say this conga and maraca pattern here, the downbeat isn't being defined in the pattern, is it? Dong. One. So feeling around it, playing in the gaps and being a little bit less on the beat, a little bit around the beat. Yeah, it's like M Funk saying, it's like you have to focus on the notes you're going to play in between the ticks. Yeah, I mean, with a lot of gear that I've got here, it does hard quantize, to step, to a fix, to 16 steps or whatever. And, if we're lucky, we've got a bit of swing on there. But there's millions and millions of micro places. Electron, I think, get it really good. They've got their the way that they do their grid, and you can do stuff that's, oh gosh, what is it quantized to? It's, it's a really big, it's like, what is it, 512 or something that it'll so it will micro move it. But that means then that you can reduce how out of time it is in fixed intervals. Let's do something anyway. So I'm going to lay something down. So I'm going to try then to build something across here. So I'm going to do this quite simply first, I think, so I don't get too confused. I'll make I'll do each one on the rhythm. I'll put in a count in, and I'll do each one as like a separate little arrangement. And I should perhaps have written something down. I've got a notepad here. I might make some notes just so I can remember what what chords are in each part now. So I'm going to think about little chord progression, and I'm going to do... I'll try and see if I can do quickly 5 chord progressions, and then I'll build up some layers. I might grab some other instruments then to put on the top, or do some vocals on the top of it. So I'll use that conga pattern then. So I've got a little bit of grooviness going around. Let's turn that off a bit. Okay, let's get that a bit up here. And then I was going to think about some chords, like a... Let's get up here. And shall I not do something in E for a change? Let's go in F. I'm going to do that. Okay. So like a little sort of not a chord progression, just a little vamp in F as a... Here's a cool little tip. If one of the input effects, if we just turn that to pan, this is a cool tip, everyone, if you use these. Pan. Now, in the settings, if you go across, it'll be like an auto pan effect that you enable. Let's just... Oh no, I haven't got any... I think I'm in mono. Why am I in mono? Why am I in mono? Oh well, anyway, what I was going to say though, I think for some reason I'm in mono tonight, but with the pan thing, if you go into the settings, so you hit the effect, and then go into the settings, pan, manual, you come to manual, and then basically wherever this is set is the pan control for what you record. So like when I'm recording vocals, I'll just, and it's going around in a loop, I'll go ah, ah, and then ah, and then each time it goes round, I'll put it into a different pan position, and then it'll mean I get nice stereo positioning. Right. Okay. Oh, well, I don't know if I'm going to over... No, let's just move on to the next one. So I've got that little riff now. So that's it. So that... What? 95 BPM. If anyone wants to jam along at home. I know C is the obvious place to go from an F. But go... I guess it kind of makes sense. I'm going to do that. It's really simple, but it's for sake of demonstration. Okay. Oh, I made a mistake. Yeah, so what I did there wrong is in its own setting. That was set to auto, so it set the bar length to be the same. So you just have to make sure for this kind of thing that you set the your measure length. Oh, actually it was set to 16, but I'm going to set them all to free. So when they're free, it's not entirely free because they're still set to quantize, but it means that they'll just keep recording until you hit the thing, and then it'll round it to the next available bar. Okay, so let's go back to this loop and do that again, if I can remember it. now. So. Oh, okay. You can set them. That's right. You can set. These are set to play immediately at the moment, but that's quite fun actually. But it's like one voice polyphony essentially. Okay, cool. So let's build a third one. I'm going to do this one a little bit more like a bridgey sort of part. So it'll be like back to the F, step down to the D, stop. Yeah, that gives us loads of potential to go different places. Let's just put that bit in. And let's see. Do you know what? I'm going to do that one again. That rhythm wasn't particularly helpful. I think I just need a straight metronome for that part. Easily done, like that. Let's do that again. Yeah. See, the microphone is on, so you can hear all my creaking and sort of finger noise as well in the loop as well. I'm breathing. Okay, so I can just check now. So that should sound quite good. So we can go to that one from there. So that'll work going that way as well. Okay, so now, so we got that. We're going, just coming up with a riff. Yeah, let's get to a meaty riff on here now. So, yeah, that'll be cool. That's gonna rock. That's like a real. So number 4 is where. That's where the things get cooking. Number 4. So then number 5. Then boom. So we're in an A vibe there. Yeah, I think I'm going to do a little tricksy riff here. I love tritones and let's get D. Yeah, let's just do this. 2. Ow. was having trouble at the end there, but it'll make sense. So a bit of a quag there. A looping quag. Big nasty build up there. Getting it back into that thing. You're gonna sit on this for a while, I reckon. It's going in this riff now. So we've got a nice space back in these earlier riffs. I did double that up. I was going to do that half as long. Yeah. This is throw your undies at the stage kind of riff. It's a bit gnarly now with that tritone. Okay, right. That's our basic song. All the parts now. Now we want to kind of add some things to. Yeah, let's add some things to this. So I'll just stay with bass for a moment, I think. It's nice. That if see that lower riff is like a major vibe. So right, let's just do my little pan trick here though. I'll just pan that over to there. Let's lay that down. You see, I'm going to undo that. Oh, the undos are super cool, by the way, on this. You hit undo and you're in an undo mode. All of the things flash, and then whatever you hit will undo or redo, and it'll remember that undo state until you do something else again. So I'll be able to always just, if I went and undid something on this track, I could then jump back and get that back again. So you can use that as a creative, a creative little tool. What I was going to say, I would do that again though, because I'm layering all onto the one. I want to make sure that they're in the right place. I've kind of got to mix it now as well. So let's just get that level down. It don't need to be very loud, that little lick. That is the kind of thing I like. The space in that. I think it's groovier. Let's just move on anyway, and I'll maybe add some layers. Let's get back where this is now. Tuned up. G. So think about a line here. Could do it the bass line actually, because that's, yeah. Alright. So. G in. Yeah. Yeah, simple bass line. Simple. Okay, let's do that then. Oh, it's 2 rounds. 2 rounds. I'll do that again. Sorry about this. I often sing. I had to turn my mic off then because I was realising I had to sing along and make some spurious noises. I didn't get it in that. I didn't get that take. Still a bit unformed. Just. Yeah, that's the one, isn't it? Okay, I got it. Hey. I left my mic in. Don't matter. That'll do for now. Could do with like doubling that up on a guitar really to make that line really pop. Everything you say, it drives me around the bend. Oh, Yeah, you're not my friend. Yeah, everything you say drives around the bend. You're not my friend. You're not my friend. You're not my friend. Oh no 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 no. You're not my friend. You're not my friend. You drive me around the bend. Yeah, everything you say drives around the bend. You're not my friend. You're not my friend. You're not my friend. Oh no 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 no. You're not my friend. No, you're not my friend. You drive me around the bend. Drive me around the bend. No, I'm gonna go something. Alright. You're not my friend. 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 You drive me round the bend. You drive me round the bend. Good time. Feel ready now. I never run away from. I never run away from trouble, no. I never run for cover, no, no. I never run for cover, no, no. I never run. Do that again. That's it. I never run for cover, no. I never run for cover, no. No, no, no. I never run for cover, no. I never run for cover, no. No, no, no. I never run for cover, no. I never run for cover, no. No, no, no. You're not my friend. Run for my friend, no. Oh no, 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 no. I never run for cover, no. You never, no, 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 no. I never run for cover, no. Oh yeah. Peace of mind going wrong. I'm losing time when I'm sad. I'm never hungry now, I'm never sad. I'm never bored and I'm never bad. I'm never hungry now, I'm never sad. I'm never bored and I'm never bad. I'm never hungry now. Whoops. I'm never hungry now, I'm never sad. I'm never bored and I'm never bad. I'm never hungry now, I'm never sad. I've forgotten what I was going to do. Where have I gone? I'm never hungry now. Oh, it's baked in now. Sad. I'm never bored and I'm never bad. Masterpiece lyrics. I'm never hungry now, I'm never sad. I'm never bored and I'm never bad. Yeah. I'm never hungry now, I'm never sad. I got a vibe. I'm never bored and I'm never bad. I'm never hungry now, I'm never sad. I'm never bored and I'm never bad. I'm never hungry now, I'm never sad. I'm never bored and I'm never bad. I never run for cover, no. I never run for cover, no. No, Friend, you're not my friend. You're not my friend. Oh, no. You're not my friend. You're not my friend. You drive me round my friend. You drive me round the bend. You drive me round the bend. I'm never bored and I'm never bad. Okay, so I need to get these in the right order to make them make sense. Now. Yeah. Gonna drive you all mad with this song. Right, so I've got my last bit now, which is the kind of slightly proggy bit now. Yeah, so you see there, that silly vocal though, is that I can, if I just stay at this level of undos and redos, is I can, I just messed it up. Because I hit it into record there. So now, any undo. Makes a man. Oh no. Judo makes a man. Judo makes a man. Makes a man. Yeah, apparently judo does make the man. Actually, I mean, a friend of mine who's, I think, did he get to black belt in judo? But he certainly is very much a man. Right. I need to get my big hook over this bit. Menace everybody. I menace you, yeah. Menacing, menace you, menace me, menace you. Tell the truth is I'm free. I can't do to be. I got to say. I miss you. I'm going to try that bit again. I've got an idea now. So this is I was using the robot effect here, and there's two settings of the robot effect. Well, gender, which is what is on the control, and then note. So when I put it on, it locks it into a note. It's in C, so no matter what I do, it's gonna come out in C. It's in D flat Right, so yes, I think I'm going to do something rhythmical over this with this sound. I'm just trying to remember what keys I was doing here. D flat, E flat. So let's try that. Sorry, E flat. E flat. Let's see if that works. I'm gonna play with the gender control. I think it sounds better higher up around here. Okay. Right, let's get onto the groove. I just do a practice run. Okay. Now. I'm going to Guy on keys just switched on and wondering what on earth is going on, or what the fuck is going on. I was wondering that as well. What I'm going to do though now is
there's another effect lurking in here, another one that I can find.
And vocoder. Now, with a vocoder that's built into here, you can choose a carrier. So I'll choose track 5. And let's see what happens if I push play. I'll keep the level low, and then we'll mess around with it. And we'll I'm going to keep the level low, and I'll mess around with the vocoder settings. I'm not sure which of the tracks it'll work best with, but we can try it on the different tracks. The Pork Ticket Sessions, New Ninja is saying, I'm so sorry about those of you who are waiting for Pork Ticket. I just need to have a direct session with my partner in Pork Ticket, Mr. Sebastian Goldfinch, in person. He lives in Cardiff, and we just need, things to be better in the world. But yes, so we can get this Pork Ticket album finished. Similarly, with Rocket Gold Star as well, that's been held up by pandemic, this great album that's taken 20 years to make. Anyway. Right, let me try this vocoder thing then. So, I'll try this track. Yeah, okay. I'm already regretting that bar robot thing, but what the heck? It's not going to be. It's only for now. I'm finding it weird to get this vocoder. I don't think I've ever successfully managed this vocoder. I reckon it's going to depend on what your tracks are. That might be a bit busy. Let me go to this one. I'm never hungry. No, I'm never sad. I'm never bored, and I'm never bad. I'm never hungry. No, I'm never sad. I'm never bored, and I'm never bad. I'm never hungry. No, I'm never sad. I'm never bored, and I'm never bad. I'm never hungry. No, I'm never sad. I'm never bored, and I'm never bad. I'm never hungry. No, I'm never sad. I'm never bored, and I'm never bad. I'm never hungry. No, I'm never sad. Not quite sure why that's vocoding. It's doing something. I'm never bored, and I'm never bad. Friend, you're not my friend. You're not my friend. No. Oh no. You're not my friend. You're not my friend. You drive me. I know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm going to do. At the moment, these are all set to just playing singular, but that can be changed. So I can change that to being multi. So my cunning plan is to use one of the other tracks of the fader down to vocode the sound, so it'll somehow influence what's going on. So I need to make sure that this track is on single, multi as well. I'll probably put them back both to single now, but it does mean that both can play at the same time, which incidentally sounds like this. Oh, no. No, you're not my friend. You're not my friend. You drive me round my friend. You drive me round. Right. So let's get back to that vocoder setting. Okay, so vocoder, we'll say carrier 3, and I'll keep the fader down on that. And now if I turn on, if this is playing, which it is. What to do with this? Friend, you're not my friend. You're not my friend. You're not my friend. Oh, no. You're not my friend. You're not my friend. You drive me round my friend. Judo makes a man. Judo makes a man. Makes a man. Never roar for cover, no. Never run 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 for cover, no. Run for cover. 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 Yeah. I reckon that would be great somehow. Not entirely sure just yet, but I've not really ever tried that before, but it's definitely interesting. But I think you'd probably have to record things specifically. I think it needs a much brighter source material to vocoder. But anyway, I'm going to put these both back to single, and we'll play with some of these kind of effects that sort of chop things and move things around. So I know some of it's really annoying, but that's your lot. That's what you're getting with me. Single. Yeah, so only one back at a time now. Now, let's configure these track effects. Now, I was messing around with this last week, and I'm going to do broadly similar ideas. So like a beat repeat, for instance. I think everyone knows how a beat repeat works, but You're not my friend. 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 Oh, I'm so sorry. Friend. You're not my friend. No. no, 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 no. You're not my friend, 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 not my friend. My friend, not not my friend, my friend. I'm never sad, never. I'm never bad. I'm never hungry. I'm never sad. I'm never bored, and I'm never bad. 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 Whoops, channel is down. Okay, so that's beat repeat. But you do go into the settings, and there are a few things that you can do. For instance, beat repeat forward, rewind, or a mix. So let's try it on the mix. I never run, run. So play it backwards. Never run for cover, no. Never run. So this mix. Okay. Enough of that one. So that's beat repeat. I'm going to have that one loaded on A. So I've got this set up to be... so whereas intro effects I've got set to multi, that could also be set to single. These track effects are set to singles, meaning only one can play at a time. And with these beat repeat things, you're only allowed to use one at a time, which is a bit of a shame because you could do some well cool stuff if you could, but you can't. So beat scatter, I'm covering what I did a little bit last week, but I think it'll be fun in context to these. And then beat shift. So the three ostensibly can chop and change what's going on in the loop. Run for cover, no. Beat shift. Never run for cover, no. Never run for cover. Actually, beat shift doesn't really make a lot of sense with this because beat shift will change it in where it is relative to other loops playing. But if we're only playing single loops at a time, then it doesn't really make a lot of sense. So we could set that to something else. Oh, actually, beat shift type future, past. That's nice, isn't it? The settings, future or the past. So I'm going to put it on the past. So it'll mean then as it plays. Never run for cover, no. Goes back. Move it. Never run for cover, no. Never run for cover, Yeah. But beat scatter, on the other hand, this one's quite interesting. This one, so what have we got? We've got 4 different program lengths. That's all we've got. And then this, which changes. I don't think you can quite see on the screen, but when I go into this mode here, maybe just about by there, as I change this, it's changing note values. That's length set to through, and then note values. So, yeah. So when the thing is there, it's essentially bypassed, and then you bring it in. So beat scatter then. So we've got 4 of these. These will sort of rearrange the beat or rearrange the loop. So I never run for cover, never run for cover, no more. Never run for cover, no more. So this is P1. Never run. run from Vocoder, no. Never run from Vocoder, no. Never run from Vocoder, never run from no. I know, this beat shift on the end, I'm going to change that to something else. I'll change that to... Oh, roll is quite fun. Let's do roll. I never run from cover, no. 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 Everything you say, driving around the bend. You're not my friend. You're not my friend. You're not my friend. Oh no 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 no. Oh, you're not my friend. You drive me around the bend. You drive me round. Yeah. Everything you say, driving around the bend. You're not my friend. You're not my friend. No, no, no. You're not my friend. You're not my friend. You drive me round my friend. You drive me round the bend. Round the bend. Oh yeah. Everything you say, driving fast. Yeah. Not my friend. You're not my friend. Oh no 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 no. Not friend. Not friend. You're not my friend. You drive me round the bend. Just round. Oh yeah, everything you say, driving around. I'm never worried, never sad. I'm not never bad. I'm worried, I'm never sad. I'm never bored, and I'm never bad. You know, meets man. Yeah, you know, makes a man.
Judo makes a man. Judo makes a man.
Oh, makes a man. Judo makes a man. Makes a man. Judo. Man. Yeah, judo. Man. Judo makes a man. Judo makes a man. Makes a man. Judo makes a man. Judo makes a man. Right, how are we doing? Oh, do you know what? I think I'm going to stop now. That's been plenty long enough. Well, I hope you've enjoyed it tonight. I think it's been a lot of fun for me, and I hope it's been some fun for you. I mean, it's probably a lot more fun for me, to be fair. But really appreciate you guys all tuning in, and I'm going to look forward to looking through these comments. Sorry, I've been really a bit distracted tonight. So, yeah. All right. Yeah. I mean, it's a bit. I didn't know what I was going to do. It's quite funny. I'm going to save it though. I'm going to save it for I think as soon as it's saved, I'm not 100% sure. I'll check this. Does that clear the undo history? I'm guessing that you don't you can't undo it once you've moved off this memory. It's taken a while to write. That's it. It's done now. Hang on. We'll just do this just to finish off. Let's play that one. Undo. Yeah. So yeah, as soon as you've committed it and written it to memory, then that wipes out that layer of undo. So just sort of bear that in mind. If you are, I mean, there I lost my little bar because it was currently, I'd undone it and then pressed right. So that wiped that out, which is probably a good thing because it wasn't very nice. Crashims at Tesco. I'm going to be there now. Don't go away. Right. Okay. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to tune out now. I really, really, really appreciate it. So next Monday, Adventures in Eurorack with the Waldorf KB37 and the little array of things that I've put together. I can't wait to show for you guys because it is it's really interesting. Well, certainly I found it really interesting so far, and this has been something that I've cooked up. It took me about a week or so to come up with the modules, and all will be revealed on Monday. So please tune in. I'm going to aim for about 10:30 on Monday evening, so it's quite a late one there, UK time that is. And then I'll be back next Wednesday for more of these things. Whatever happens. And again, big love, everybody. It's just a real joy and a treat to be doing these and having. So I'm just, before we go, I'm going to go. No. Take care, everybody, and see you soon. Thank you. Bye.